Food for Thought with Professor David Ndete.
It's another beautiful Friday morning. Karibu sana. It is Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been doing a series talking about post-traumatic stress disorder, and the information has been very enriching. You know, Professor got to talk to, we just had a discussion with Professor about his experiences, you know, when he had gone to Rwanda, and some of the things he said were very, very informative. Let's go back to that conversation and pick it up from where we left off. I'm wondering, Professor, because you have some professions and some jobs that are, you know, that deal with I'm thinking about maybe doctors or even policemen, you know, where you deal with people who are injured, where you go to accident scenes. I'm wondering, are this kind of people prone to this disorder?
Absolutely. I remember. This thing started with these American soldiers.
Yeah.
Who we are seeing who are being attacked and maybe they almost missed dying, or they were seeing their own colleagues dying. And you remember I also said this person could possibly have experienced a threat to the physical integrity of others. So when you talk about the police and even our soldiers, other people who have to do with all kinds of things, you are spot on. Yes, they can experience these things.
Wow. So what does that tell us about the human mind then? Is it that the way we have been put together, we cannot deal with such kind of situations and scenarios?
No, it's not like that. Listen, let me give myself as an example. I like giving myself an example.
Yeah.
I would be a very abnormal person if I was at the American embassy at that particular time when it happened.
Yes.
And there was this explosion, and the building was collapsing, people were running around, people were being killed, and it does not touch me as a human being. It doesn't touch you as a human being at that particular time when it is happening.
Yeah.
If you think that what is happening is normal, then there's something abnormal with you.
Yes.
If you look at it that way. So that is the way the human mind is made. Our minds are the most complicated computers ever known.
Yeah.
They store information. They have the ability to recall that information as if it is happening for real. The difference is many people, when they are exposed to those events in the acute phase, which I talked about, many of them have different kinds of resilience, and they seem to come out of it within a very short time, so that by the time they get to 4 weeks, it has gone out of their minds.
Okay.
They are able to deal with that. And you know what? I have seen this. One of the things I can tell you for a fact, when I think it was 1996, when me and a few other people were sort of asked to go to Rwanda to see what was happening. I remember my vice chancellor saying, "No, I'm not going to allow you to Uganda. You are not going to, not Uganda, to Rwanda, for you to go and get killed there. I'm not going to allow." And then with persuasion, eventually he let us go.
Yeah.
When we went there, the reason why I think eventually we went, not because that particular time I was supervising one of their students over here, working with us. One of the things that surprised us is that when we went to Rwanda and we started looking at the people, what they had gone through, just couldn't believe that people could smile.
Yes.
When they had undergone all this kind of trauma, it's like they had developed their own way of dealing with this condition.
Okay.
Last month, I reviewed a paper that was written in Rwanda by very good researchers, and they found that since that time, there are still people who continue to have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Wow.
We are talking about many years, close to more than 25 years since it happened.
That begs me to ask, Professor, how long can this condition last if nothing is done about it?
Well, I think a few statistics would help. If this will help. These conditions to seem to have a natural cause. The majority of the people recover after just within 4 weeks.
Okay.
Then a smaller percentage may continue for more than 1 year. Then in a smaller percentage, maybe 1 to 2%, it can be lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah. When did we have Mama was here? 1952. Do you know, not long time ago, with one of my students, we actually found people who still suffer from the events of what happened in 1952. So it can last for a long time, but the numbers reduce with time.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So what kind of treatment do these people get for this disorder?
Well, there are certain other things that are very important. If you allow me, allow me to scroll down to number C. It's not just the re-experiencing. It's like the experience, because they don't want to go through what they went through, they try to avoid the places where this happened. Did you know there are people who will not go to the site where American embassy was? It's good that they pulled it down because they associated with that. And every time they go there, feel like it is happening. So they tend to avoid all those places. And I have listed for you, people can read for themselves how they try to avoid those re-experiences, going back to those places that started it all. Now, if you look at the number B, which is what is most important, even for people to know what is happening, you see, they have had what we call psychiatric conditions. Difficulties falling or staying asleep, irritability and outbursts of anger, difficult concentrating, and like they are always on the edge, and they have what we know as status response. There are many other things that have not included here. Like we know for sure that people who have suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, they also tend to develop other physical conditions because they are chronically stressed.
Okay.
And we know stress, because all of these are symptoms of stress. We know stress can lead to high blood pressure, it lead to decreased immunity, so that they get infection very, very easily. They can lead to diabetes and many other conditions. So people who suffer from this condition, they tend to make use of health services more often than other people who do not have this condition, because they tend to get both physical and psychological complication for which they go to see doctors. So yes, these other conditions are very important. And so we may actually start from D when we see some of these symptoms that we see. When you take the history, when you give people time to talk about what they went through, you want to know whether they have those persistent symptoms, because that may be the entrance into this. And if people are not sleeping well, surely they can sleep well. If they are irritable and they are very depressed, surely we can treat that depression. If they are not eating well, or if they are suicidal, suicidality is higher in the people who have been subjected to PTSD. You can continue to treat these conditions. Then, of course, you do psychological intervention. For example, what I mean by this is that if the event occurred, you cannot erase it from the fact that it actually occurred. You can't erase, and you can't tell people to forget about it. No, how can you ask people to forget about You cannot ask them to forget about it. But you can use other methods of helping them to deal with the fact that it's happening. This is something that we talked a little bit earlier on, and we call it cognitive behavioral therapy. In very simple language, you accept the fact that this thing happened.
Yes.
How do you deal with this condition? How what is the positive way of seeing these things? How can you how can you slowly get exposed or go back to, say, the American side, see that it is different, you go there repeatedly, of course, with somebody who is helping you, telling you, you see, it's normal, you can come and it doesn't happen, it's not going to happen. These are parts of cognitive behavior. In other words, you change the way the person thinks.
Yeah.
And if you change the way the person thinks, you start changing the way the person behaves, and he starts behaving in a more positive, engaging manner. And it's a therapy, it's a form of treatment. So you combine the use of medicines and the use of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Wow. Indeed, information is power. To know you are equipped to be able to deal with the situations. And I pray that the conversations we're having with Professor Ndetei on Food for Thought are enriching to you and giving you solution. My advice would be, if you know a friend or a family member who's going through post-traumatic stress disorder, get them the help that they need, because help is available. Have yourselves a good day. We'll connect again next week right here on Family TV.